What I'm about to tell you is uncomfortable, but it's the reason your blessings feel delayed. Before God elevates you, He removes certain people, not to punish you, but to protect what He's preparing. If you've been losing friendships, connections, or relationships out of nowhere, this message is not random. Stay with me. This might finally explain what's been happening in your life. Before God ever multiplies someone's life, He first examines the environment they're standing in. Because God knows something we often forget. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to grow with you. Many of the financial delays, emotional storms, and spiritual heaviness you feel aren't because God is ignoring you. They're because God is protecting you. Before He trusts you with more influence, more opportunities, more provision, He looks at one thing. Who is shaping your decisions? Who is speaking into your spirit? Who is influencing your direction? Sometimes the people you're desperately trying to hold on to are the exact people God is trying to remove. Not because they are bad people, but because they cannot walk into the version of you God is building. There are connections that drain your peace, conversations that weaken your faith, relationships that slow your progress, influences that disconnect you from your purpose. But here's the hardest part. God's separations rarely feel like blessings at first. They feel like loss, rejection, or confusion. You ask, why did they leave? Why did this friendship shift? Why did this person distance themselves? Because God heard conversations you didn't. He saw intentions you couldn't. He felt spirits that you ignored. And before He places more in your hands, He removes what would sabotage it. What looks like abandonment is often divine protection. This is the first sign that God is preparing you for more. He starts cleaning your circle. Before God trusts you with more, He doesn't start by adding. He starts by subtracting. And this is the part almost no one understands. We pray for increase, we ask for provision, we beg for breakthroughs. But God often answers by removing someone instead. At first it feels confusing. You look around and think, why is this person distancing themselves? Why did that friendship suddenly fade? Why did this relationship collapse the moment I prayed for growth? Because God sees something you don't. There are people who look supportive but carry silent envy. People who smile at you but resent your progress. People who stay close, not because they love you, but because they benefit from the version of you that remains small. And God refuses to let you carry people into a season they were never meant to enter. So He exposes intentions subtly. He reveals a hidden attitude. He allows a small conflict that uncovers a deeper truth. He lets their mask slip, just enough for you to finally see it. You think it's rejection. God calls it protection. Because elevation requires purification. God will not pour new oil into an environment polluted by jealousy, drama, manipulation, or emotional dependency. When God begins removing people, it's not punishment, it's alignment. He is creating space. Space for peace, space for clarity, space for divine connections that will multiply you, not drain you. And the moment you stop chasing who He has already removed, you'll feel it. Your spirit gets lighter, your mind becomes clearer, and your path opens in ways you never saw before. Because sometimes the blessing isn't what God adds, it's what He subtracts. There's a moment in every believer's life when loss doesn't feel random anymore. It begins to look patterned. You start realizing that the people who disappeared from your life all carried the same energy. The ones who drained you. The ones who loved what you gave but never what you were. The ones who only clapped when your life benefited theirs. And it hits you. Every time God was about to multiply you, someone important suddenly walked out. At first it felt like punishment. Now you're starting to see. It was protection disguised as disappointment. Because there are people God cannot allow near your next level. Not because you're perfect, but because innocence is expensive and you've paid too much already. These are the people who water down your faith with doubt, convince you to settle for less because they fear more, make you question your own calling, attach themselves to your blessings but never to your burdens. And God sees what you don't. If He allowed them to stay, they would sabotage the very thing you prayed for. So He removes them quietly, not out of anger, but to make room for people aligned with your purpose, not your past. Some losses aren't losses. They're God saying, this person was never meant to sit in the room I'm preparing for you. And until you accept that, you'll keep trying to resurrect connections God already buried. Sometimes God doesn't remove people because they're evil. He removes them because their presence keeps you small. There are people in your life who love the comfort version of you, not the called version of you. They cheer for your survival, but they quietly fear your expansion. And God sees what you don't. Every time you tried to grow, they pulled you sideways. Every time you tried to focus, they became a distraction. Every time you dreamed bigger, they planted doubt disguised as concern. You call it support, but heaven calls it restriction. And here is the warning most people never discern. God will not release a bigger blessing into an atmosphere that cannot sustain it. If you keep people in your life who drain you emotionally, interrupt your clarity, minimize your progress, or subtly sabotage your discipline, God won't punish you. He will pause you. Not because you are unworthy of more, but because your circle is unprepared for the weight of your next season. Blessings require structure. Increase requires alignment. And God knows that giving you more while you're surrounded by the wrong voices would destroy you, not develop you. So when someone leaves, fades, shifts, or suddenly disconnects before you panic, pause. Ask yourself, was this person carrying me forward, or keeping me tied to a version of myself God is trying to retire? Because sometimes God removes people not to hurt you, but to clear the runway for what He's about to send. There is a moment in every believer's journey when God tests not what you can carry, but what you're finally willing to release. Because increase never comes through accumulation. It comes through alignment. And nothing reveals alignment like the people you choose to keep close. Some relationships are not wrong, they're just expired. And God cannot pour new oil into a vessel surrounded by hands that were never meant to touch your destiny. When God begins to remove someone from your life, the transition is almost always uncomfortable. They distance themselves. Conversations feel forced. The connection stops feeding your spirit. Doors that used to open suddenly stay shut. It's not rejection, it's divine preparation. God is protecting what He placed inside you by limiting who has access to you. Because here's the spiritual principle almost no one talks about. Before God trusts you with more, He purifies the environment around you. Not everyone can handle your next season. Not everyone can celebrate what God is building in you. Not everyone is safe for the version of you He is shaping. Sometimes God removes the friend who always pulls you back into old habits, the relative who speaks fear into every dream, the partner who drains your confidence, the mentor whose advice keeps you small, the acquaintance who secretly competes with you. God sees the conversations you never hear. He sees the intentions you can't discern. He sees the future you cannot imagine. And when He removes someone, it's not punishment, it's protection for the promise. Letting go feels like loss, but holding on would cost you far more. Because what God is preparing for you requires clear focus, strong boundaries, and a heart free from emotional sabotage. Your next blessing is already set. The only question is whether you'll release what God is pruning, so He can trust you with what He's preparing. Here's the truth most people never learn. God removes people not to hurt you, but to protect what He's about to place in your hands. He removes the jealous before He multiplies your influence. He removes the draining before He expands your responsibility. He removes the distracting before He clarifies your destiny. He removes the seasonal before He positions the divine connections you need. If someone disappeared, if someone pulled away, if someone suddenly exited your life, don't chase them. Don't beg them. Don't reopen what God closed. Your blessing isn't being delayed. Your circle is being prepared. Because when God trusts you with more, He ensures only the right people can reach you. You know God is preparing you for increase when the circle gets smaller, the conversations get deeper, the distractions lose power, the wrong people fall away effortlessly, and your spirit feels lighter, not lonelier. This is God saying, I can trust you now. He's not taking people from you. He's taking people away from what He's doing in you. When God removes someone, don't chase them. Release them so you can finally rise. Before you leave this video, I want you to answer one question, because your next breakthrough might depend on it. Who is God removing from your life so He can finally trust you with more? Comment below. I release who God removes. It's your first act of obedience, and the door to your next season might open right after it.